On this installment of PJ Cooks 60 Food, we're going to make my version of minestrone, so let's get started. Okay, so the vegetables for our minestrone. Today I have 2 nice handfuls of chopped kale. I have about a cup of chopped zucchini. I have a cup of chopped onion. A half a cup each of chopped fennel, carrot, and celery. For herbs, I have some basil. I have some fresh oregano. I have some thyme. I have a little rosemary. I have some basil. Start with the vegetables for our minestrone. Today I have a couple of handfuls of fresh black kale. I have about 3/4 of a cup of chopped zucchini. I have 1 really large clove of chopped garlic, which equates to about a tablespoon. I have a cup of diced onion, half a cup of diced fennel, half a cup of diced celery, half a cup of diced carrot. And then I have a little bunch of fresh herbs. There's some thyme, some bay leaves, some fresh oregano, some fresh basil, and some fresh rosemary. For the canned goods that I'm using today, I have a can of cannellini beans, a can of dark kidney beans, a can of potatoes, and a can of sliced mushrooms. All have been drained, rinsed, and ready to go. The liquids for our soup, I have a quart of chicken stock, I have 2 cups of homemade tomato sauce, and I may use some additional water. For our seasoning components, I have some olive oil, I have some salt, I have some pepper, I have some crushed red pepper, I have a couple of pieces of rinds from some pecorino cheese that I had, and then when I was at my Italian specialty store, I asked them if they had the end to a prosciutto, which was a nice big chunk about that big, that I asked them if they can cut into pieces for me, just like this, and that is going to be used to season our soup. Okay, so to get started, I got my big stock pot on a nice medium heat. To that, I'm going to start with my olive oil. I want to get that to a nice shimmer. That should only take a few moments. And you can see how the oil is already starting to shimmer. So to the oil now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add in the pieces of prosciutto. And I want to basically fry these up in that oil for just a few minutes. So as you can see, our prosciutto is starting to pick up a little bit of color. That's exactly what we wanted. It's going to release its flavor into the soup. Now I'm going to add in our carrots, our celery, our onion, and our fennel right into our stock pot. Give that a little stir. Our heat is on medium still. And we're just going to start to soften our vegetables here a little bit. Giving it a pinch of salt. A pinch of black pepper. And a pinch of our red pepper flake. And we'll just let this cook for just a couple of minutes until our vegetables become nice and soft. Our vegetables have just started to soften up a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in all my garlic. And give that a good stir. We'll just cook that in there for just a minute. Just until you start to smell the garlic in the air. Okay, so you can start smelling that garlic right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my little sprigs of thyme, my bay leaves, my sprigs of fresh oregano, and my sprig of rosemary. Give that a good stir. Now all those twigs and all those stems from those herbs and this prosciutto that's in here, we're going to fish all that out later at the end of our soup. Right now we just want it to impart its flavor. And you know what? I'm going to give it a pinch more red pepper, maybe a pinch more salt, and a little bit more black pepper. And layer these flavors. That is perfect. Next thing now, let's go ahead, pour in our tomato sauce. Stir that in. Very nice. Let's go ahead and add in our homemade chicken stock. You tell it's good when it looks like Jell-O. That means when this stock was made, all the collagen in the bones came out into the stock. Okay, so we're going to bring this up to a nice simmer and let this cook for just a couple of minutes for all the flavors to come together and the vegetables to get nice and tender. And at this point, before the water does come to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and add those cheese rinds that I have. That's going to impart a lot of flavor into our soup. That's also one of the reasons why I was being very conscientious about how much salt I added in now. We could always add in more later. Okay, our soup has been simmering away now for a couple of minutes. You can see how it started to pick up some of the cheese. It's getting like a creamy look to it. Now I want to go ahead and I want to add in my zucchini. We'll stir that in. And let this go for a couple more minutes until our zucchini starts to become tender. Our zucchini started getting tender, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and fish out those bay leaves, those chunks of the prosciutto that are in here. They've given up all the flavor that I wanted into our soup. And if I can find those cheese ends, I'm going to pull all that out. I'm going to put that in a little bowl that I have on the side. So I'm going to keep fishing and we'll be back in just a moment. So now that the prosciutto, the herbs, the cheese ends have all been fished out, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add in my kale. You can see how the kale is just going to wilt down right away into our soup. That's perfect. Now, if you want to put a lot, you can put a lot. If you want to put a little, you can put a little. If you don't want to put in the cheese and the prosciutto, you want to make this a vegetarian soup, you can. You could use water or you could just use straight vegetable stock. The choice is yours. But now what I want to do, I'm going to grab my spoon, go in for a little taste. Oh yeah, you can taste that cheese, the flavor of the cheese imparted. You can give a little bit of more red pepper, 2 more pinches of salt. I'm gonna give it some more black pepper because I like a lot of black pepper. Give that another stir. And we're just gonna let this simmer for another couple of minutes, and then we're gonna go ahead and add in the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so we've been simmering for a couple more minutes. Our vegetables are all nice and tender. So let's go ahead. We're going to add in our cannellini beans, our kidney beans, our potatoes, add in some of our mushrooms. Now, if there's any ingredient here that you don't like, you don't have to use it. These are just what I like in my soup. I'm going to give it a nice stir. Okay, you can see it's a little thick, it's a little chunky. So I'm going to go ahead, thin this out with a bit of water. I added about 3 cups more of water right now. Let's make it a full quart more of water. That is perfect. Oh wow, that is a big mushroom that was in there. I'm going to go ahead and just fish that out. That will not fit on a spoon anywhere. At this point, another pinch of red pepper flake, another pinch of salt, another pinch of pepper. Gonna go ahead and add in those basil leaves that I had that I chiffonaded. Give this a nice stir. And we're gonna let this come up to a boil and simmer for about 5 minutes. So our soup has been simmering for about 15 minutes now. I'm gonna just go ahead, go in, give it a little taste. Oh, that's perfect. Just another little pinch of salt. And we are ready to serve this up. Okay, so let's get ready to plate. We'll start by putting a little bit of cooked pasta on the bottom. Now I'm doing it this way, so this way the pasta did not overcook in the soup. Then we'll grab a couple of ladles of our soup right here. Just doing that right over the pasta. One more ladle. A little bit more broth in this one. Just like that. Oh, doesn't that look delicious? Give it a little chiffonade of fresh basil on the top. Nice big hit of Parmesan cheese. There we go. That is my minestrone. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you tried it at home. Thank you for tuning in to PJ Cooks Sexy Food. We'll see you next time.